our man Will Z. Will, how you feeling about tomorrow?
I'm excited. It's like they've got nothing to lose, like you guys have been saying. Um, so looking forward to it. Is the background
And
noise better?
Oh yeah, you sound great now.
man,
It's fine.
yeah, man. It's a situation where well, I don't look at it so much as they got nothing to lose, as they can really win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They can really salvage this season that's been so up and down with taking care of business and beating a team that I know has had your number, but I feel like you're playing them at the right time, not only for how what's going on with them, but what's going on with you when you talk about the Sacramento Kings. I think
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday was a big moment for them, to not only beat the Warriors, but be able to finish a game. They had a big lead. They almost lost it again, but they answered the bell and they were able to overcome that and and right the ship, so to speak. And I thought that was big for them and their psyche and their belief in being able to win without a Malik Monk and all this other stuff. And I think they're going to be going into New Orleans riding high.
Yeah, especially with the injuries. Like it feels like they have all the momentum where it's I know that the Pelicans have the 5 games, but obviously with Zion being out and with Brandon Ingram coming back, it just feels like they've got way more to lose. And I love that for the Kings. I love how they're playing right now. They seem like they're ready for the moment. And especially against the Warriors, like they came out from the get go, like they knew what they had to do on both ends of the floor. And I thought it showed. So it'll be interesting to see how they defend the Pelicans without Zion. I think it's a obviously much easier matchup, but with Zion out, I don't think we're going to see as many double teams. Like we're not going to see Harrison Barnes on Valanciunas and that create double teams and let Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and everyone get those 3-point looks. Maybe they'll do the like Steph treatment to CJ and slow him down. In case anyone forgot, 70% shooting from 3 against the Kings this season. So I think slowing down CJ probably takes more precedence than slowing down Ingram to me, just because of kind of the rhythm and the flow. Um, so it's and again that goes well with where the Kings have their defensive strengths, which is at the guard position.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot today. It's just I think they should defend. They have the same game plan for CJ that they have for Steph Curry. That's how I think they should go into this game and treat him like he's Steph Curry.
Hmm.
Get the ball out of his hands when you can, get multiple defenders around him, and keep him from getting comfortable and in a rhythm in this game. And I think if you're able to do that, that'll go a long way to you winning this game.
And the key with that is the rotations. Like we saw, they were locked in on their defensive rotations against the Warriors. If you look at the wide open numbers, the Warriors only shot 13 wide open threes, 12 open, 7 tightly contested. That's a lot. Compared to the Kings, they shot 27, which just for reference. But when you're on point with those rotations after double teaming and blitzing off of screens, that's when they really become effective. If they're late on those rotations, that's when you get a big game from Trey Murphy, from Herb Jones, from Valanciunas on those little dump off passes. So I think that if they bring that same sort of everyone's locked in on every minute, which it looked like they had against the Warriors, I think that's when that game plan against CJ will really work.
We've talked, and rightfully so, a lot about what the Kings will do defensively against the Pelicans, but what
Mhm.
about what the Pelicans do defensively against Sacramento? I think the Pelicans that was the 1 for 10 game, right?
For De'Aaron,
For
yeah, the
De'Aaron.
the one in the
Mhm.
middle of the series where they lost by 30 with no Zion. That's where De'Aaron was probably had his worst game as a pro.
Yeah. In like how much of what they do against Sacramento defensively is what's led us to this 0-5 point.
I think it's not a coincidence at all. Like they have Herb Jones, he's the primary defender against De'Aaron Fox. And this season, when Fox has been guarded by Jones, 28 points, um, but on 40.7% from the field and 27.3% from 3. He only has 3 assists. He has 5 turnovers. He's only drawn 2 shooting fouls. Like Herb Jones has the ability to single-handedly shut Fox down, or at least slow him down enough where a lot of other teams don't have that one-on-one defender who can do that to Fox. You see it a lot with like Lou Dort. He has that same type of ability. So them having that type of defender that they can put on him is just so one of the many reasons that I think that they're such a bad matchup for the Kings. And especially with Monk out, they don't have that other player who can really drive and get to the basket. We saw Davion do that really well against the Warriors. So if he can come in and do that same type of driving and kicking or get to the rim, that'd be great. But that, along with Valanciunas being able to guard Sabonis one-on-one, really makes them match up well defensively against the Kings.
Yeah, and they've got those type of horses. One thing that I would try to do, and once again, it gets back to CJ. I really make CJ work. Keon has shown the ability to run some pick and roll action with Domas Sabonis. I would exploit that a little bit more. This because I'm assuming CJ is going to be guarding Keon Ellis in that case. If they try to put him on Keegan Murray, all right, we're going to do a bunch of DHOs with Sabonis and Keegan Murray. But I'm making him work his ass off the entire game, offensively and defensively. I'm trying to wear him down. And he's still a great player. He could still play really well, but you want to try and not let him be comfortable out there on both sides of the floor. So
yeah,
that's something I would look at for the Kings offense.
Yeah, and looking at just the last game, Keon was guarded by McCollum, and Keon, when guarded by him, only took one shot. It was a three. He missed it. So be a little more intentional, like you were saying, against that matchup, and get away from Herb Jones. Either that, or get Fox in some pick and roll action. Try and get Herb off of him, and maybe put CJ in that action to try and get that switch. I don't remember if the Pelicans switch or not on screens. I'd have to go back and look, but definitely look for the better matchups when you have them.
Were you able to like I obviously have a very different process than you do. I was just looking at box scores and going through this like, man, CJ went nuts in a couple of games. Zion had his moments. Ingram had his moments. Trey Murphy had a moment at the Golden One Center. It feels like there's a lot of guys in Pelicans uniforms who play really well versus Sacramento. Is that a comfort level? Is that just we can dominate this team? Any guy could cook. We saw Dyson Daniels have a nice game. Like, I don't mean that as a shot. Jose Alvarado is not known as a big time scorer. He scored, a ton of points. Is that a product of the confidence of the Pelicans, or is there something the Kings are missing defensively?
I don't know. Maybe both. I want to pull up what they're averaging in terms of wide open threes against the Kings.
Oh boy, Kenny Caraway numbers. Here we
The
go.
Kenny special.
Here we go.
So
Kenny Caraway numbers.
I like.
But yeah, I mean, the last game when Alvarado had the ball where he tracked down in the corner, he was like a one-man fast break and he shot like a fadeaway in the corner. It was just a heartbreaking shot.
They hit 22 threes in that game.
That was crazy. And they hit 22 and they shot like 55% from three.
Yes, 55%. Yeah, they were 20 and 40.
That's
all right.
They shot 54% the game before that.
Man,
that was the one in Sacramento that they won by 30 or so. I think CJ had 30 in that game.
33 to be exact, but whatever.
All right. So against the Kings, 19.8 wide open threes per game. They make 9.2 of them. That's 46.5%. On the season, they take 18.6. So a little bit of a difference, not too much, 40%. So you see the number jump up just slightly and the percentage jump up. So maybe that's comfortability. Maybe it's the fact that, I don't know, the Kings were, especially early on, I don't think as much anymore, but they were kind of forced into double teaming, that the Pelicans just get good looks because of the Kings' defensive strategy guarding Zion and Ingram. So I don't know. That's my theory. I don't really have anything to prove it, but yeah.
And I got
Checks out.
the game on right in front of me in the first play of the game. This last one on Thursday, or a couple Thursdays ago,
Yeah.
was a dump down to Valanciunas with
Mhm.
Harrison Barnes guarding him. Keon
Yep.
has to leave CJ for the double team. Now Valanciunas ended up shooting the ball and didn't kick it out to CJ or whatever. But like that's why it kind of changes things with Zion out, because that's problematic. That when I say like let Valanciunas score or whatever, that's with the right matchup, right? That's with him going up against Sabonis. And if they want to go
Mhm.
one-on-one with that all day, cool. I can't have him going up against Harrison Barnes. And now with no Zion, you can match up more traditionally. You
Mhm.
can put Sabonis on Valanciunas and let that be a one-on-one matchup and stay home on the shooters.
Yep.
And I'm all for that, for the, at least at the very least, the opening strategy. You know what I mean? You always have plan B and C, and if they adjust, you make your adjustments. But with Zion not being there, because I say all that because Sabonis was guarding Zion to start the game last time. That's how Valanciunas got Harrison on him. Now you can have just the traditional. All right, the big mans are going. I got a wing that'll go up against this wing, and everything else that you're trying to do. So it just it puts everything back into its proper spot, I think.
I agree. I think the other big thing will be the possession battle. Mike Brown's been talking about it like nonstop.
Yeah.
So the two main things, the Kings getting steals, and then on the other end, getting offensive rebounds. They did both of those so well against the Warriors.
Mhm.
And I think 40 points came from either steals, either like points off turnovers or second chance points, which if you're winning that possession battle, you're not only getting more shot attempts, but you're going always play off tacos. You're getting looks against the Pelicans defense when they're not set. So in transition, the Pelicans aren't going to be set in defense, and on offensive rebounds, you have everyone scrambling a little. So you have a better chance, I think, of scoring against them because the Pelicans, it's not like Zion is their main defender. He's great in that help defense, but he's not the one kind of leading their defense. So they're
Mm.
still going to have that great defensive ability even without Zion out there. So get as
That's
many good, easy looks as possible.
Herb Jones.
hmm I think
He's
so.
he's the guy. He's their lead defender. He's the one
Yeah.
who kind of is the hub on the defensive end.
Yeah, and then Valanciunas in the middle does a great job. Again, kind of like Sabonis, just vertical contest, just big body in there. That he's not going to block a ton of shots, but he's going to make life difficult inside.
I know we just said this. I need Domas to have a moment.
Yep.
Because Valanciunas is one of those guys who it's like, and it's not like the Kevon Looney where Looney has a series against him on a big stage or whatever. Valanciunas is a big physical nasty dude.
Mhm.
Like,
hmm
and those like that's a tough matchup for Domas because he's one of less than a handful of guys in the entire league that can match physical strength with him.
Yeah.
hmm
And we see how hard Domas has to work when they play each other. I want Domas to have a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have a moment against
absolutely. Let,
Valanciunas.
let him and the whole world know you here. Absolutely. Another thing that I want to see from this team and to be aware of, and you know, it's maybe on Mike, or it's on the players first, but maybe on Mike as well. The story of a lot of these games, not taking anything away from the Pelicans winning and dominating the way they do, but there's been some crazy runs, right? I think in the game, the most recently, it was a relatively close game, like a
Oh,
4, 5, 6
yeah.
point game, and then the Pelicans go on a 17-0 run.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Kings battle back, get it closer, whatever, and then I think they start off the fourth quarter, the Pelicans do, with like a 13-0 run or something like that. I remember the same thing happened in the game at the Golden One Center when they beat the brakes off them by 33. The play-in or the in-season tournament game, I think the Kings were winning that game in the first half, and then the Pelicans go on this run to separate themselves in the second quarter. You got to eliminate the runs one way or another, whether that's answering with the score, whether that's calling the timeouts,
Mm.
whatever you have to do. You got to make sure we don't see any 10, 12, 13-0 runs in this game to keep yourself close.
Yeah. Was the Pelicans game the game where Mike Brown burned through like all of his timeouts? I remember he had like 2 timeouts left with like 8 minutes to go or something like that.
The most
To try
recent
and stop those
Pelican
runs.
game?
I think so.
Okay.
To try and stop the runs. So I'll be interested to see how quick he is with those timeouts if the same type of situation like you were just saying comes up.
Yeah, the Pelicans outscored the Kings in the first quarter 34-23, Will, so that checks out a little bit.
Yeah,
That
that
could have
makes
been
sense.
that game. I know it's a little early. Do we got a swing stat for tomorrow?
Not one set in stone yet. I think it might be second chance points. I think that's how the Kings are going to win this game. Again, I still get nervous about their ability to score, so I think they need as many shot opportunities as possible. And what
Ooh.
made me so happy about the game against the Warriors was that the Kings had, I forget the number, but a bunch of offensive rebounds, something like 16 or so. And Sabonis had 2. So it was the entire team was getting on the offensive board. So you can tell that Mike Brown is putting emphasis on that and that the whole team is buying into that concept to try and go get those offensive rebounds. So a similar type of approach, I think, would go a long way against the Pelicans.
Kings lost the second chance points battles in every game but the last
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah.
In the last one, what was it? Well, like 11-7. Yeah, the Kings won that battle 11-7. They got ripped apart in a couple of them.
And I don't think they've had a single game with 10 plus steals against the Pelicans. So the kind of duo of those two will be key. So maybe it'll be a combo swing stat.
Man, it feels like the Pelicans really capitalize off of turnovers too. Like if the Kings turn the ball over, the Clippers are going to score. Or the Pelicans are going to score off of it.
Yeah, and that's why, you go into this game and you go into that locker room if you're one of the players or if you're Mike Brown and you be like, you know, I don't know, something symbolic like hold up the plate, the sheet, you rip it in half because that everything don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we talk about, everything that
it only matters in your
down,
film sessions.
That's it.
It don't
that's
matter
it.
when you
watch
take the floor. Yep.
None of that comes with you, and that's what this team has to be thinking about. Like you've got an opportunity tonight to get to the playoffs, and that's all that matters. The 5 games before don't matter at all. So, and I think that's how they will come out to this game. I think that's how they will approach this game as an opportunity against another good NBA team, not the scary Pelicans who've beaten us 5 times. They don't look at them and like it's our time now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, great stuff. We'll miss you tomorrow at Sky River. And hopefully by the time we return, we'll have a whole series to break down.
I'd love nothing more. I'll miss you guys tomorrow. It'll be weird not being there, but I'll be watching from here.
We appreciate you. Thanks, Will.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.